So I wanted to do a gear update video, since I do one every few months, and I decided that I'd go and talk about the stuff that I'm going over, just because usually people don't really explain why they have stuff the way they do. So I thought I'd give some insight into it. So on core there's not much to talk about. If people want to use attack speed, they should use it instead of damage bonus during empowered state. I've been thinking about getting EX Winsting as a tune on core because the skill just scales really well, and I think if I were to do that I'd replace either attack speed, which I don't have, or damage during empowered state. So I think that's something to consider. I'll probably do it in the future, but not right now. Outside of that, I got a PV chip. I had a friend help me with them. It was very helpful. Outside of that, I got attack speed on mods. Attack speed makes it so Harpy, the character just feels a lot smoother, and she doesn't really have cooldown issues as long as you're rotating properly. So it's basically a win on DPS if you're playing it perfectly, or well close to. You don't need to play it exactly perfect. So I'd heavily recommend getting attack speed. Outside of that, I got EX Winsting on every mod. It's really good. It's probably your best tune after conditional crit damage, which you generally want back crit, but I got S on air, so I might as well just keep it. But for min-max purposes, you want S back attack crit damage, and you just want to proc it as much as possible. Another thing that I think some people might be wondering is, why do I have physical crit damage instead of something like empowered or chase damage or whatever? And it's better. Like it's a minimal difference, but it's still better. So if you have the option, I'd recommend going for it instead. Aside of that, yes, I'm not sure if I showed triggers last time. I don't think I had the complete set. I'm not sure. Basically just go for attack speed, double crit, and then raw. You should actually always go for attack speed on almost every character, with the exception of like Violet and maybe Soma. I'd probably go it on Soma anyways, but I can see an argument for not doing it on her. Just because the other stats give so little, it's kind of beautiful. Costumes haven't really changed. I don't have the best costumes right now, but I don't want to upgrade them because I don't have the funds. Or well, I do have the funds, but I don't want to use them on it right now. Aside of that, just new shields, same chips. Nothing much to talk about here. I changed my skill build slightly, and the way I did it, and this might not be very interesting for most, but I wanted to talk about it anyways. Basically the way I do it is I try to understand if putting points into a skill is better if putting points into a skill is better than putting points into a passive. And the way I do it is, for example, I have exciting on 10 right now. If I were to use the skill points that I used from lowering excite from 20 to 10 on like Watch Your 6, I'd get like, I don't know, I think 0.2% increased damage or something, or like 0.3. And then what I do is I just go into a skill like Ventus Impact. It does roughly 21k, or well, it's more than that. It's almost 22k%. And then I multiply it by 0.2, and I see how much damage that is. And then I do it like with most skills, and I try to see if that would cover for the amount of damage that I get from Excite. So for example, on Excite I get more or less like 1.5k per Excite, so it's 3k roughly of hair and back, which is better than whatever passive I max here, so that's why I have it maxed. With draw, if you're playing perfect, there's an argument to just drop like air here and max draw, but my issue is that it's really hard to hit draw every time, at least for me, and then you don't have forced back, so it makes it even harder. So I personally wouldn't max draw but if you want to, it's completely fine. I don't think it's bad. And then FM2, I think there's an argument to maxing it. The main utility of FM2 is really from the Master Cube, so you should just keep it. The damage is pretty nice, but I don't think it's worth all the skill points you need to invest in, so I just leave it at 6. Harpy Strike, there's no reason to max it, so I just leave it at 6, and everything else is maxed. Outside of that, you just PNA. Nothing really has changed, it's just the same thing. Then I run attack speed because it feels really good. If you don't want attack speed and you want to run just damage, you should run the percentage damage one, the one that gives 5%, because it gives slightly more damage than crit damage. Then outside of that, I guess I have PNA for whatever boss I'm fighting. So like Misuk, I have middleweight, where I use middleweight, not here. I use middleweight here, and then I use middleweight here. And then I have amplifiers with the armors. I have one for Misuk, one for Untouchable, one just for in general, and one for Grammary. Which I don't use most of them, and realistically you don't need, like, you only need one. You should only care about one. But if you're a min maxer like me, then I guess it's worth. Doesn't really cost that much. I think that's everything. Hope I'm not forgetting anything. If I'm forgetting something, I'll probably add it on the next video. So yeah, thanks for watching.